To this day, Phineas and Ferb remains one of my favorite animated shows of all time. It is a masterpiece of deconstructionism and meta-humor. The show began way back in 2007, but the humor remains relevant today. It is without a doubt the best animated show since Bugs Bunny, and that's not an exaggeration. For those who haven't watched the show, let me explain the premise for you. Phineas and Ferb are stepbrothers, but they never refer to each other as such. However, it's pretty obvious because both Ferb and their father, Lawrence, are British, while Phineas, the older sister Candace, and the mom, Linda, are all American. For the most part, the series takes place in the family's backyard during summer vacation. The boys decide they don't want to just hole up and watch cartoons or play video games all day. So every day they decide to do something fun, exciting, and completely over the top. For example, in the first episode, they decide to build a roller coaster, one that goes around the entire town of Danville. Candace decides that her duty as an older sister is to bust her brothers. She calls Mom, who is out running errands. Of course, Mom is busy and can't come home right now. So Candace decides to go and get her. This sets up the A-plot and also establishes the meta. The B-plot involves the family's pet, Perry. Perry is a platypus, but beyond that, he's a secret agent. Every day, he battles against the evil scientist Doofenshmirtz. Doofenshmirtz captures Perry, gives a bit of backstory, explains his evil invention. Perry escapes his capture, battles Doofenshmirtz, and foils his plans. And then, for some reason, the resolution to the B-plot somehow also wraps up the A-plot. For example, in the first episode, Doofenshmirtz wants to reverse the rotation of the Earth. So to accomplish this, he wraps the eastern seaboard in tinfoil and then sets up a giant magnet to pull the east coast in a westerly direction. Why is he doing this? Well, he hasn't quite worked out all the bugs yet, but he's sure it'll be evil. The boys' roller coaster is a big hit and all the neighborhood kids have a blast on it. The magnet pulls all the foil off of the buildings, and a giant tinfoil ball starts hurtling directly at Doofenshmirtz's building. Perry, thinking quickly, uses his grappling hook to connect the magnet to a passing helicopter. The magnet then picks up the entire roller coaster, causing it to fly off before Candace can drag Mom out of the grocery store to see it. And thus, the resolution of the B-plot helps to wrap up the A-plot. The pilot establishes the meta. It also gives us our catchphrases, such as, "Hey Ferb, what do you want to do today?" "Ah, Perry the platypus." "I'm gonna bust my brothers." "Hey, where's Perry?" "Aren't you boys a little young to be whatever?" All of these lines become repeated throughout the entire series and can be heard in almost every episode. In fact, most of them eventually get turned into songs. Additionally, scenes where Linda thinks Candace is insane, Isabella swinging by and asking Phineas, "What you doin'?" and various pop culture references are all core tropes of the series. The pop culture references are top tier and sometimes extremely subtle. For example, in Season 4, the writers made a reference to Daft Punk's Coachella's 2006 appearance. You see, the robots rose up out of a cloud of smoke wearing their funky helmets at the top of the pyramid. While fog filled the indoor arena, Daft Punk proceeded to live mix their own songs for the next hour or so. To this day, it's considered the best live EDM performance ever. That's electronic dance music for you weebs who only listen to anime soundtracks. In this particular episode, Drusselsteinaween, Phineas and Ferb are hired to plan the biggest, baddest, Halloweeniest bash of all time. So after the guests arrive, Ferb rises up out of a cloud of smoke wearing a funky hat and, from the top of a ziggurat, proceeds to live mix songs from the series. That's another thing I should mention. In almost every episode there's a song. And not a crappy kid's song, I'm talking ones you want to sing along with. "Summer Belongs to You," "Where's Perry?" "You Snuck Your Way Right Into My Heart," and "Busted" are all great songs, but one song, "Ain't Got Rhythm," was actually nominated for an Emmy. But the pop culture references don't end there. In the episode where the family takes a Hawaiian vacation, Doofenshmirtz is marooned on a deserted island after his invention backfires. He and the invention, a de-evolutionator, wash up on a deserted island. Perry finds him, and Doofenshmirtz explains that he's not going to use it anymore. He just keeps it around because the crabs are worshipping it. And what was the line he used to describe their behavior? "It's very Kubricky." It was at this point that my wife and I decided that this was one of the greatest kids shows of all times. What kind of a Disney cartoon references Stanley Kubrick? There's even a zombie apocalypse episode. Yes, you heard that right. Doofenshmirtz's latest invention turns people into mindless clones of himself. They spread the infection via touch, and it's a corrupted form of static electricity. The episode is worth watching by itself, but let me just list the movies they reference in this single episode. The title of the episode is Night of the Living Pharmacists, which is an obvious reference to Night of the Living Dead, but the episode also draws influence from Dawn of the Dead, World War Z, North by Northwest, Shaun of the Dead, Aliens, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Ghostbusters, The Omega Man, The Invasion, Saturday Night Fever, Left 4 Dead, Die Hard, Karate Kid, The Matrix, Dirty Dozen, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Attack on Titan. Sean Pegg and Nick Frost reprised their roles from Shaun of the Dead, and even George Romero, the man who invented the zombie apocalypse genre, guest stars. Now, as I stated earlier, Phineas and Ferb is a masterclass in deconstructionism and meta-humor. For the most part, the episodes are split into 2 mini-episodes that are each about 10 minutes long. The first episode establishes the meta. You have the A-plot and the B-plot, and the resolution of the B-plot somehow helps to resolve the A-plot. The second part of episode 1 helps to establish the lore, and episode 2 is the start of Doofenshmirtz's ridiculous backstories. Specifically, how he was forced from a young age to be the family's lawn gnome. But this is also the first time Linda didn't receive a single call or text from Candace about the insane things her brothers were doing, which causes Linda to freak out and leave her spa day early. Just that small shift in the meta completely changed the dynamics of that episode. And the changes keep building. Small, subtle changes that lead to sweeping changes over the course of the 4 seasons of the show. For example, we soon meet Doofenshmirtz's daughter, Vanessa. While Candace is awkward and over the top, Vanessa is suave, graceful, formidable, basically a young femme fatale, the opposite of Candace. However, she's trying to prove to her mother that her father is evil, which mirrors Candace trying to prove to her mother that Phineas and Ferb are making crazy, dangerous inventions in their backyard. Doofenshmirtz has schemes, a secret agent who foils his plots. I mean, he even has Evil Incorporated written on the side of his building. But Charlene, Vanessa's mother and Doofenshmirtz's ex-wife, doesn't believe her, much to Vanessa's frustration. We see her getting more and more frustrated as everything seems to work out alright for Doofenshmirtz, just as Candace is slowly going insane as the boys keep getting away with their shenanigans. Candace and Vanessa end up bonding later on in the series over their frustrations about not being able to bust people. But before they even meet, they have a duet that's one of my favorite songs in the series.
You're gonna be busted. I don't wanna put the hurt on you.
Deconstructionism does not mean to destroy a thing. With deconstructionism, you break a thing down to its base parts, examine their purpose, and then rebuild it anew. You also examine its opposing pieces and can change their purpose if it suits you. Dark and light, evil and good, male and female. What purpose do they serve in the story, and how does shifting their position change the story? What if the hero is evil, at least in the eyes of their sister? What if the villain is actually a good person? What if conflict and affection were reversed? Many of these are examined throughout the series. We also see it mirrored, because just as deconstructionism is a tool for examining, it's also a tool to show reversals. As an example, just as Candace trying to bust her brothers slowly brings her closer to them, Vanessa trying to bust her dad helps to improve their relationship. We also see that as evil as Doofenshmirtz is, he loves his daughter and is trying to give her the best life possible. A life he never had, as is revealed through his many backstories.
It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up.
The show doesn't stop with the jokes, and it doesn't focus on jokes for children. There are plenty of jokes that go way over a younger audience's head. The show isn't geared for adults, it is absolutely a kids' show. But there is enough entertainment and nuance that adults can watch it as well. I compared the show to Bugs Bunny, and I don't make that comparison lightly. Bugs is an icon from the golden age of animation, and arguably the only cartoon character as famous as Mickey Mouse. Like Phineas and Ferb, Bugs had a wild imagination and would use his schemes however he saw fit, usually for revenge. Bugs was very nonplussed and would normally be happy to let bygones be bygones, at least until he was pushed too far. Bugs, as well as the rest of the Looney Tunes, was steeped in pop culture references, and not just current culture, but historical culture as well. Wagner, the Marx Brothers, It Happened One Night, Liberace, Prince Valiant, Dick Tracy, Flash Gordon, The Three Stooges, Abbott and Costello, Frank Sinatra, and Danny Kaye, just to name a few. But the biggest reason I make this comparison is that Bugs Bunny wasn't a kid's cartoon. Kids enjoyed it. I know I did growing up, as did my parents when they were children. But the cartoons were made because the creators found them funny. The cartoons didn't talk down to children. If a joke or a reference went over a kid's head, that's okay. There would be something funny in 5 seconds. The same can be said for Phineas and Ferb. No kid is going to laugh at the "we're going to need a bigger captain" line. And they're probably not going to get all the other Jaws or Moby Dick references in that episode. But they can laugh at Doofenshmirtz and Perry getting caught in the undersea saltwater taffy machine a few seconds later. And at the end of the day, this is what makes Phineas and Ferb so good. It's not a kid's cartoon, nor is it a cynical adult cartoon like all the Simpsons derivatives we've had over the last 30 years. It's a show about positivity, family, having fun, and making the most out of every day. With how the world is, we could all do with a little more positivity. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. Please like and subscribe for more content, or you can click here for more recommendations. I've also started a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Danon or click the link in the description below. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.